Fantastic Four First Steps is the welcome reboot of the MCU that we all hoped it would be. I caught the movie last night here at IMAX Melbourne for the preview screening, and I was so happy with the result of this. There was so much riding on this movie being good, and I have so many thoughts. This is going to be a video where I kind of just dump a lot of my thoughts into one stream of consciousness thing, so bear with me, but man, okay, let's just get into it because I have so much to say. What's up guys, Mike here, welcome back to the channel. Hey, this is probably my first video going up since I crossed 10k subs. So I will do a proper video about that soon, but I wanted to say thank you so much to anyone who's checked out my channel and subscribed. I really I'm so grateful. Okay, so I am a huge Fantastic Four fan. I've read a bunch of the comics, and to be honest, I'm a big fan of the 2005 Fantastic Four film with Michael Chiklis, Jessica Alba, Ian Griffith, and Chris Evans. I know that movie is often looked at pretty negatively, but I was a kid when it came out, and I just genuinely fell in love with these characters. I loved the powers. It also came out around about the same time as The Incredibles, and alongside the original Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, it was kind of like my introduction to superheroes on screen. So I was always really excited about the Fantastic Four inevitably joining the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and it finally happened. And I think there's a lot of context that needs to be taken into account here and needs to be touched on in my thoughts. First and foremost, this movie is the kind of next phase of MCU taking place before our eyes, and ironically, it takes place in a separate universe to the MCU, but more on that later. The other thing I wanted to mention, and I think people might not necessarily like me saying this, but I think it's very difficult to not compare this movie to DC's Superman, which just came out, is a major competing film to this movie and is also the start of a new universe for DC. So I'm taking all of that into account for my review. So I've got to say, the first 15 minutes or so, I was honestly teetering on the edge and I wasn't 100% sure if I was going to like this movie. It somehow feels like slower, smaller, and just quieter than any other superhero movies, especially when put next to Superman, which was just loud and bombastic. The first impression I got was I wasn't completely sold on Pedro Pascal's Mr. Fantastic. I don't know exactly what it was, but at first it was really throwing me and I couldn't get into it. But as the movie went along, I warmed on the character a lot. I still think Mr. Fantastic might have been the weakest character in the movie, but I want to get to that later. Because I do want to touch on the really strong characters, and I've got to say, Sue Storm is the triumph of this film. And again, this is a thought dump kind of review, so I'm going to be jumping around a bit, but comparing this movie in 2025 to 20 years earlier, 2005, with Jessica Alba versus Vanessa Kirby playing Sue Storm. The 2005 movie is really a product of its time, where the Invisible Woman is quite sexualized and often used as like comedic relief and like, oh, she's naked because her invisibility powers or whatever. Like that happens in both movies. I think it shows in a way how far like Hollywood has come, that now like Sue Storm is like the figurehead, strong character. Like, yes, she is still really maternal in this, but Vanessa Kirby really captures this strong, steadfast woman who just like knows what she has to do and like is willing to like protect her family at all costs, and like I mean all costs. At the same time, Ben Grimm, aka The Thing, is also a standout here. I mean, those two to me were the strongest. And again, to compare to Michael Chiklis's version of The Thing back in 2005, like now The Thing is just a guy who happens to be a rock monster. I feel like in the 05 movie, Thing was like this gruff, like grumpy, angry guy, which I get, but in this one, like he's not like putting on a deep voice or anything. He's just a dude who happens to be this rock guy. And at times The Thing comes across as the most human, normal, sort of down-to-earth character of them all. In the 05 movie, he was kind of just like the butt of all the jokes, but now like he's just respected like all of the others. I think Johnny Storm, the Human Torch, was a good character as well. He had a lot of really cool scenes, and I think it's the coolest power of all of them to see on screen. I also really enjoyed the dynamic between Human Torch and The Thing in this movie, again, compared to the 05 movie. In the 05 movie, it was just Johnny bullying Ben and Ben getting angry. In this one, they're like clearly friends with mutual respect, and they just like banter together and have fun. And I thought it was much better in terms of the team dynamic. And that's what I really want to get onto, because this movie, which is like, it's just under 2 hours in length, it was a really good length, but it has so much going for it in that there are times where this movie feels like an action blockbuster film. There is times where it feels like a creepy space horror film. You know, when they go into space and meet Galactus, like I think it's an incredibly menacing and scary moment. Like Galactus is a really terrifying satisfying villain in this, and I really, really enjoyed like some of the space chase scenes, and there were elements of like obviously sci-fi Star Wars space battles and the Silver Surfer's there, more on that later. But then you come back to Earth, and then like there's elements of it being like a disaster kaiju film when Galactus comes to Earth, and that's awesome as well. Like you really feel the size and strength of Galactus. Like it feels like Godzilla, it really does feel like that, and it feels like they're going for that feeling. But where the movie actually really, really shines, and this is where I go back to at the start when I was saying it was like a slower, smaller, quieter movie, it really shines in the exploration of human relationships and human connection. Because in between all of these big moments are these little moments, whether it's Reed and Sue finding out that they're pregnant, or when Ben and Johnny find out that Reed and Sue are pregnant. Just these small moments of human connection and small discussions and interactions in between the action is something I've never really seen done that well in a superhero film before. To be honest, the only other one I really can think of is the most recent Superman, in those long drawn out human scenes between Superman and Lois Lane. I think both of the movies explore the real human side of being superhuman very, very well. And so once we got past the kind of speed bump of the first 20 minutes, I just was completely consumed by this world. I loved the Silver Surfer as a character. I think the character generally is so amazing and just so interesting. I'd love to explore some more of the comics of Silver Surfer now. And the whole premise of Franklin Reed being like what Galactus needs is really fascinating. It puts the Fantastic Four in this absolutely like really scary and intimidating moral decision, or moral quandary, I guess, where they have to decide if they're going to give up their child to placate Galactus, which is, of course, something no parent could possibly consider doing. But then it kind of becomes the entire world versus this one boy, and you're kind of in this trolley problem where it's like, do you save all the people or one person? Like, do you sacrifice one person to save the greater good, or do you sacrifice everyone and don't do it and try to defeat Galactus? Like, there was so much introspection there, so much human introspection, and so much exploration of the Fantastic Four maybe not being good enough to do this. Of course, ultimately they are successful, and maybe we'll head into more major spoilery territory here. Johnny Storm is prepared to make the ultimate sacrifice to save Franklin Richards from Galactus, but is stopped at the last moment and saved by the Silver Surfer, who sacrifices her own life after Johnny Storm finds out the truth behind her origins. She was a scientist on her own planet who actually sacrificed herself to Galactus to save her planet. So I guess she ends up making the ultimate sacrifice after Johnny kind of relates to her and confronts her. It's a beautiful moment, the Silver Surfer makes this moral decision and sacrifices herself, and it's really, really cool to watch on screen. That final battle with Galactus where we see all the Fantastic Four using their powers, like, we didn't get heaps of Mr. Fantastic stretch powers till the end of the movie, and it was really, really cool. There is a fake out at the end where Invisible Woman dies but comes back to life through the power of baby tears. Ironically, it reminded me a lot of Ash Ketchum's fake death in Pokemon the first movie, where Pikachu cries and all the Pokemon cry and wake Ash up. Power of friendship and love, guys. It's unbeatable. Funnily enough, my girlfriend who saw the movie with me is a healthcare professional, and she was laughing during the scene where Reed is crying and trying to resuscitate Sue Storm. She said that she thought the CPR was really, really bad and a really bad on-screen example of how to do CPR, and she thinks it might become a meme, like it was that bad. So maybe keep an eye out for that. I just thought I'd mention it because it was funny.
Staying alive, staying alive.
There is a mid and post-credit scene. The mid-credit scene is our first look, I guess, at Doctor Doom. It's set 4 years after the movie, and we see Sue Storm and I guess a 4-year-old Franklin reading a book. She goes to pick up another book, and when she comes back, Doctor Doom is staring at the baby. Now, we don't see Doctor Doom's face, but we do know it is Robert Downey Jr. in that costume. And interestingly, I wasn't really sure how this movie was going to end, because we saw in the post-credit scene of Thunderbolts that the Fantastic Four were at some point going to enter the current MCU. That doesn't happen in this movie, so I guess that's all gonna go down in Avengers Doomsday, probably. The post-credit scene is actually just like a pretend animated intro or opening theme for like the Fantastic Four cartoon in this world. And the theme actually does have the iconic score theme from this where it's like Fantastic Four. That was my impression and that was probably really bad. I mean, to be honest, you could probably skip the post-credit scene if you are going out to see this anytime soon. And this is my thought dump of the movie. Honestly, I loved it. I'm so excited for what's next. Marvel is really back after Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four now, and this is going to be such an exciting new frontier. I do have a bunch of other videos I want to do around this. I want to do a video about Fantastic Four and Superman. Which one should you see? Because I've already had someone message me on Instagram saying like, hey, I'm going to the movies tonight. Which one would you recommend? I have a lot of thoughts on that and a bunch of other videos around this. But yeah, this has been my thought dump on Fantastic Four First Steps. Whew, thank you so much for watching, guys. Hey, if you like this video, make sure you hit the subscribe button for more Marvel content and pop culture content in general. I'd love to know your thoughts on the movie. Let me know down in the comments. And if you've made it to the end of the video and can't think of a comment, but you want to help me out in the algorithm, just comment below, flame on. You know what it means, I know what it means, and it shows me you made it to the end of the video and you're a true fan. I'm all over the internet doing dumb stuff that I think is cool. I posted a short form vlog kind of review on Instagram and my TikTok. All the links are down below, so check that out too. And if you like this video, YouTube is thinking you might like this one too. But if you just want to watch a bunch of Marvel related videos, they're all in this playlist here. If you want to binge it, I won't stop you. That is pretty much it from me. My name is Ready Mike. This has been the Inside of My Mind, and I'll catch you later.